Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Our guest today has thrown away her architecture career to become an entrepreneur. She is famously known as the relationship engineer and the founder of Cheeked, a highly successful online dating app. Would you please help me welcome to the live stream, Laurie Cheek. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Now, what is Cheeked and how does it work? I'd love to learn more about that.
Well, it's currently a Bluetooth dating app that allows singles to connect in the real world. So if you're at a cafe or a bar, at the gym, and there's someone else on the app within a 30-foot radius of you, you can start a conversation in real time and space. Unlike every other dating app in the world, it allows you to swipe through profiles sitting in the comfort of your couch. So we're trying to bring online dating back to the streets.
So for a lot of people out there who are looking for the right person in their life, what does this app solve? What's the problem it solves for them? How does it make it easier for them?
So people that actually want to meet in person and don't want to flip through these virtual conversations that actually lead to nothing most often. I mean, people start these conversations, and I'd say 95% of those don't lead to a real person meeting. Our app allows you to know who's single in the room or the space or on the sidewalk, and you can actually spark up a conversation before taking it virtually. So, yeah, it's kind of like an old school thing. Before apps and websites, people used to have to talk in person. We're just trying to bring it back old school, but using technology to do it.
I've heard you mention the word conversation, and I want to understand what's important about this word in the context of Cheeked, because that's quite fascinating. Conversation, because all I'm hearing is jab, 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 sex, sex, sex on these other apps, but I'm hearing you say conversation. What's important about that?
It is an interesting word. And I think even now in the time of distancing, that people are missing this magic. First of all, I think the thing that matters most in a relationship is chemistry, which these virtual connections via technology will completely remove all of that. But in person, and starting a conversation, this is where this chemistry begins, which I think is the most crucial thing to any beginning of a relationship. I'm not saying there are failures otherwise, but the divorce statistics and every relationship statistic goes to show you that back in the day, before all of this technology, couples were doing it right.
My wife and I, we met the old school way. We were living and working in Dubai, and I was living in a tower called Century 21, 21st Century Tower, and she lived down the street in Yellow Building, and so she was about 800 metres away. But I got on the not the school bus, but the work bus to go to work. We met as colleagues. We talked on the flight, and it was talk, 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 and it was very natural, very old school. And there wasn't a lot of these dating apps that I was aware of at that time on mobile devices. So for us, it was very traditional, but I'd have a lot of fears going out into the dating game at the moment because I don't want to waste my time. I like to have a conversation. I like to get that depth of somebody. So as you mentioned conversation, this feels that this is more my style than, say, some of the other apps that I've seen some of my mates use.
I mean, I'm actually on all of the other apps just to experiment. I mean, I'm also single, so if something happens on someone else's app, I'll be bravo to them. But still, I have experienced a lot of these other apps, and I realize you can match with someone, start to have this conversation online that never leads to anything in person. So that's the flaw here for me, and we've tried to bring a solution to that.
So in times of COVID-19, how is this impacting you personally? I understand that you were living in New York. Where are you living now?
I'm in Kentucky, which is sort of in the South, a very beautiful place that I never ever dreamt I'd end up back in. It's my home state. I was born here. I lived in New York City for 25 years. But once COVID hit New York City, I thought I might try to escape And the reality is, I feel like I'm in more danger in the southern state here. We're one of the red states with the high rates right now than how New York City is dealing with it. But the other flaw in our app at the moment is that it's a time of distancing. So our app, the magic of it, brings people together in a 30-foot radius. So the beautiful thing is if you're in a crowded club or at the gym with lots of people or crossing people on the streets. So right now, it's not really doing its magic, and that's upsetting. But the world will be normal again, hopefully.
It will be. It will be. As I mentioned before, I was cabin crew, and there was 17,000 people in our team, and I remember the crew. We would fly to about 130 destinations around the world, and first thing that they did when they got into the new destination was to turn on their dating app. But these dating apps, it was a broad radius, where this is quite a tight radius, and a lot of them at the moment are confined to their hotel. So if they're flying from Dubai to London, they're not allowed to leave the hotel. So at least with your app, 30 feet could be a couple of floors above, a couple of floors below, and maybe even some rooms to their left and right. And they're going to have their fun on the layover.
Okay, very good point. And on that note, the other beautiful thing about this is because it works via Bluetooth, it didn't require a cell signal or any sort of Wi-Fi connection, because the Bluetooth could connect to you. And once you came out of the subway or off of a flight, it would tell you who was in that flight with you. So that's another cool thing about it. But this story I was at South by Southwest, this technology festival here in Texas a few years ago, and I was in an Uber share on the way home to a hotel, and I realized this guy, another tech guy, was on the way to the same place. So I told him, well, download my app. Well, of course they're going to download your app at a tech conference on the Uber ride home. So when I got into my room, we connected on my app because we'd been in the Bluetooth radius, and he's like, why don't you come on down? I'm like, I'm 45, you're 29, but thank you for downloading my app. Anyway, it was sort of cool. Just like you said, I have this memory of that happening, and that was really neat.
Now, this app is going to solve a lot of problems for your clients, but what types of problems has it created for you along the way? Since you've brought it to market, what problems has it created in your life?
Well, a lot of problems. I mean, I've had this business for well over 10 years now. I left a 16-year career in architecture and design to bring this idea of mine to life. I have a patent on this idea. I spent $15,000, waited 4 years to get the patent on the idea, which was different back in the day. We didn't have this app 10 years ago, but I did have this really cute concept of these dating cards that you could slip to an intriguing stranger at a bar or a cafe, at the gym. And they had these cute pickup lines and a code that the person could type in on the website and find your profile. So still, it was a way to meet people in person. Like, you've seen them and then you connect, which is exactly what we're doing with this app. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way, ran out of money, decided to take my show on the road to ABC Shark Tank, which I think you have something similar in Australia called the Dragon's Den, maybe? Is that what it is?
We've got Shark Tank as well.
Oh, you have Shark Tank. Okay. So yeah, I took it on the show, and I even thought they're probably not going to invest in me. But if they see the passion inside of me, they may. But they all said no. Barbara Corcoran said, you've got you're the right entrepreneur with the wrong idea. I left there, decided to reinvent my business. Within a year, we were working on this new app, the Bluetooth app. Meanwhile, a man a few hours outside of New York City watched a rerun of my Shark Tank episode. Could have easily had the same idea, but watching my show, I guess he decided that I had stolen his idea and sued me for $1 million, which sounds like a lot of money, none of which I had. I'd already spent everything I had, failed on the Shark Tank. They told me to quit what I was doing, but go back and get my job in architecture. That lawsuit got thrown out after maybe 6 months. And I was like, okay, thank goodness. I didn't steal this man's idea. This makes no sense. Why is he suing me? 6 months later, I got a new lawsuit, $5 million. He found a new lawyer to sue me again. I was like, who's got $5 million? I mean, I was renting my apartment out on Airbnb for 14 months to keep funding my business. It was like a joke. I was like, what, does he want my hat collection, my shoe collection?
My wife wants your hat collection.
I do have a collection of hats that's easily like 500, but yeah, I don't think this man will want my hats. Anyway, so fighting that for nearly 2.5, 3 years, the second lawsuit, I ran out of money fighting. I was already out of money. I've been borrowing money to even pay off the lawsuit. So my app is taking a hit here because I can't pay anyone to keep updating my app. So that's been very upsetting. Sort of why I ended up back in Kentucky, leaving New York after 25 years, because I'm still paying to fight this lawsuit. I started a GoFundMe campaign to try to raise money to help fight this lawsuit. That's now, I think it's $125,000 we're paying to fight this. And I went to the press. So I decided to tell the world what was happening to me. I thought maybe some lawyer would see my story and decide to help me. I thought some rich person reading this article in the Wall Street Journal or Cranes here in America might be like, oh, this girl needs help. Let's try to give her money to help her keep her dream alive and not just end up out on the streets paying this lawsuit. Then the man decides to sue me for defamation of character. So there's a third lawsuit that came about for $10 million. That one's been thrown out because I think it just makes no sense to keep suing me. I'm still I'm in the $5 million lawsuit still, but $10 million, I don't know. It just sounds like a joke to me. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that.
So you've started your business. Person tries to sue you for $1 million. They try to sue you for $5 million. They try to sue you for $10 million. One of the things that our clients have and they're trying to overcome at the moment is this fear of success. And they're worried about things like this happening in their life. So they say, Daniel, I'd love to start a business, but I don't want to be exposed to this type of challenge or problem. What have you learned about going through this, Laurie, and knowing what you now know, what would have you done differently?
So I own this brand. I'm drinking out of this mug that says cheaped on it. This could mean nothing in the end. And these sharks could literally just roll over in their graves if they heard me saying that this journey, this 10-year journey I've been in, that I feel like I've been beaten up. I've been run over by a truck, but what doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. And at this point in life, after everything I've been through, I'm still paying off these lawsuits. My app is about dead. I am not going to give up. And this has been the ride of a lifetime. Although I gave up a 6-figure career working for some really amazing companies like Christian Dior. I worked for this European company called Vitra, making loads of money. Now I'm pretty much out of money. I would not turn this experience in for the life of me. People ask me, would you go back on that show? Would you do anything differently? I've got a book-worthy story here. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 10 years I've got an award-winning documentary about what I've done, because most people would have crawled in a hole 9 years ago with the battles I've been through, but I could just be the walking poster child of resilience and grit and determination for entrepreneurship. That is, I don't know, I wouldn't trade my life in for anything right now.
Resiliency, is this something that you can get out of a book? Is it something that you can learn from a book, or is it something that you've got to learn when you've got boots on the ground and you're dodging those bullets? What are your thoughts on resiliency?
I mean, this is sort of a cliche concept about entrepreneurs who dive off this cliff and build the plane on the way down. That's exactly what you do. So I say, if you're scared of success, if you're scared of taking that leap, if you're scared of risk, If you're scared of reward, which is the most amazing thing that comes out of all of these risk-taking efforts, don't do it. If you don't believe in your idea 100%, if you're not willing to put your entire life on the line, I mean, early on, people, my best friend, my mother would even say, like, what's going on with your little business? And when do you think you're going to pull the plug on it if it's not successful? I'm like, you guys don't know who you're talking to here. I've never done anything halfway in my life. And I think that I was born with, being stubborn. But I have met a lot of entrepreneurs along the way that, yeah, you know who's going to make it and who's not. And when you hear their pitches, you hear their passion, you know who's going to go down the road of successful entrepreneurship. So,
I was reading a book not long ago, and it was talking about statistics for entrepreneurs. And it said that if you want to become a self-made millionaire, you need to work for 20 years. You've got to work 20 years, you've got to work for 60 hours a week, and you're going to get close to bankruptcy at least 2.4 times before you become a successful self-made millionaire. So to me, Laurie, it sounds like you're on the right track. Absolutely. You're ticking all the boxes.
Well, it's funny now that I did desert my whole life in New York. I feel like my life has been pulled out from under me in a lot of ways, but I am not going to give up on this business. And I've always made the joke that if I'm in the senior home when I'm old and have gray hair, I'm going to be on a cane, just still talking about Cheeps. Like, I've kept it alive this long. What do I have to lose? Like, this is my legacy at this point.
I love it. Laurie, what frustrates you the most?
I mean, I guess our legal system here in America, I'm not sure how it works where you're from, but the fact that you can sue anyone for anything. I mean, in other countries, if you sue someone wrongly, they have to pay your legal fees. In America, you could sue somebody for picking up a brick the wrong way. I don't know. If you have $5, you can file a lawsuit. I think it's actually $250. You can sue anybody for anything. This is just, it's really destroyed my life on so many levels. I never ended up imagining living here in Kentucky. I'm trying to make the best out of it. I'm starting completely over in the middle of a pandemic. I'd say this is what frustrates me the most. And I'm still, my heart and soul is in this business. It's just been a frustrating challenge the entire way, but I will find the silver lining in this at some point.
You will. And what's been the most embarrassing moment for you? Dating, personally, professionally, what's been the most embarrassing moment so far?
I honestly can't think of anything super embarrassing. I'm not very shy, so I don't get embarrassed quite often. I mean, back in my corporate career, I remember one day I was walking up the stairs after a conference and I realized my skirt, I had this long, beautiful flowing skirt, wasn't all the way zipped up, and I guess it started falling down. So I was showing some of the new hires my underwear, but like, I'd say that was the most embarrassing thing of my corporate life. But other than that, yeah, nothing.
And what one book has had the most impact on your life?
You know, once I started this business, I've had a really hard time focusing on reading anything. I'm like more into podcasts or watching things or going to meetups, listening to conversations. But I guess even more so, like Gary Vee. Do you know Gary Vee?
I do.
Following his Instagram has been sort of empowering. I've got his book staring right in front of me, Ask Gary Vee, right here. But one of my favorite childhood books was City Mouse, Country Mouse, and that's a little bit my life coming full circle. It's a childhood book. I was this country girl, went city, and now I'm full circle back here in Kentucky. So just life work has a funny way of coming in circles.
And as you've built your business, what mental or emotional block do you feel has held you back the most?
I mean, anyone with any sort of block going through what I've been through would have quit years ago. I really don't think that anything has blocked me. Initially, when I launched this business, I believed in this idea more than anything that I've ever believed in, more than the career that I had gone to study for 6 years to build. I knew who I was investing in. That was me. My entire savings account went into my idea. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. I've never had a block, really. And I think that's part of the resilience in entrepreneurship, is not having that block. Like if I didn't know what I needed, I'd find out the answer. And that's what I've done for 10 years.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Resiliency. Laurie Cheek, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you all the best on the journey. Stay safe during COVID. And we look forward to seeing Cheek at the #1 app on the App Store. Ladies and gentlemen, Laurie Cheek, the founder of Cheeked. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon. Laurie, wonderful job, and thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Have a wonderful day.